Hello everybody, thank you for joining me today. So today's video, I'm throwing in real quick the time for the challenges for our online crop with my little scrapbook store. Is still time that you can get in, so I wanted to share with you my version of challenge number 2, which is orange, the color of fall. And it says get those theme pictures out, fall themed. It can be Halloween, fall leaves, Thanksgiving, or any fall activity. So I scoured Facebook for some pictures and I found some of a family members. And so I'm going to scrap them. And I was just showing you the PDF file. I put a little leaf over the children only because I really hadn't talked to them to find out if it was okay to do, on my YouTube channel. And then I thought about it later. I was like, but you got it off of Facebook. So I guess it's okay. But it's not too distracting. We're just going to work on the layout itself. So I'm going to use the white marshmallow from Basil. I trimmed down the wood grain paper that you see there so that way it would give just a little bit of a border. And then I'm going to, I had to find my glue. Go ahead and put down some glue where I put the tape and hope it come out, which it did. Yay! Because sometimes my glue wants to be funny. And it's always right when I'm either doing a live or some type of video. All right, so we're going to go ahead and get this laid down. And I like that it gives it just a little, a little border, and it just gives it a little bit of weight. All right, and so for the sheets, so I'm using these 3 different papers, and I've always loved layering pattern papers like that, where you have like the 3 different patterns peeking out, and sometimes you can tear it, sometimes you can just distress the edge, to give it a little bit of interest. So that's what I decided that I was going to do for this. And I do those a lot with my fall or my wood grain because I don't want to not see the wood grain because I enjoy it. So I was like, you know what? If we put it like this, we can either do it halfway, up at the top, which is possible. And then I was like, I think I like it the other way. And so I decided to go ahead and turn it. And then we put the pattern paper on the bottom. And then that's where we're going to create our area with the paper. So right now I'm just doing a little bit of trimming because I wanted to make sure that it went with the wood pattern, the grain, that it didn't go from edge to edge. Sorry, messing with these cats. Trying to keep them from coming across my table sometimes, even while I'm doing voiceovers, is a struggle. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and put down the plaid paper first. And then I'm going to put down the green and then the gold kind of on top of the both. And on this version, I didn't distress the edges. I didn't do anything. I just wanted to kind of have the 3 layers. And doing it this way makes it look like, like there's more of the pattern paper. It's hard to explain, but I like how it turns out. All right, and that flower paper right there, isn't that pretty? I love that paper. That's the one thing with Simple Stories. I so love the fact, I know there's certain pattern papers where you don't get 2 of the sheets, but because of stuff like that, where you have such a beautiful pattern, like flower pattern on the one side, and then you got this nice simple yellow, like I will cut this down strip by strip if I need to. And just use it as accents or, like stuff like that, because it's just such a pretty pattern paper. All right. Now, for the photo, I was thinking about using one of the I think it's a 6x4 um, cutouts that's on one of the back of one of the pages. I even thought about using the pattern paper there, and I was like, you know what? I don't want to use up that paper. I don't. So I'm just gonna grab some craft cardstock, and that's gonna be what I'm gonna mat my photo on. And whenever it comes to matting my photos, I always try and trim it to um, a number that makes sense, because I use the Canon selfie, and it's not quite 4 inches by 6. It's a little shy on both sides. So I always try and get it cleaned up to where it's a definitive number. That way I know how big to make my mat. All right. So now that we got our mat cut, we're going to go ahead and attach our photo. And I usually like to do that right away with my photo, because a lot of times I'm popping it up. And so I'll put the um, foam underneath, leave the backing on the foam so I can play around with it and where it's going to be placed, but still have the ability to kind of move it along. And I'm checking now for a sentiment. I knew I wanted to use these foam sentiments, which are my favorites. Even if I don't get a collection, sometimes I'll just get those because they're just so cute. And you can really use it with different collections. It doesn't have to be just the one that it is designed for, because it's fall. So if you have fall paper, this will work with the fall paper. So never be afraid. If you're not feeling a particular line, but you like the sentiments, get them, because they are interchangeable. I feel like they are. Okay, so real quick, I'm just pulling out a few things. I like that lamp. I like the flowers, not the one in the pot, because that's more like indoor. But the other flowers I was liking. So I'm just real quick, just trying to go through and grab stuff that I think I can use, right? I saved the birds. I think that one piece I grabbed back, yeah, because I decided I wanted to put that up there. I always pull out as many of the hearts as I can, because you never know. Hearts, stars, circles, anything like that you can use as elements on the card, I always try and pull out, because, those are just quick and easy. All right, so I decided that I wanted to keep the two birds, because, I mean, they are outdoors. And then I'm like, okay, I'm going to put a flower with each of the birds. And then I knew I wanted to put the lamp kind of, I think, up to the top. I played with it a little bit down at the bottom, but I was like, I'm not feeling it down there. I can create my own little area up here at the top and use the lantern. And then I decided to grab, let me see. I think I grabbed that piece of like a fern or leaf, and I don't wind up using it. I think we wind up doing something else. But I think I wanted to do basically something like that. All right. So what we're going to do, I'm still thinking about what am I going to use. I like gather and I like together, and I like that they're different fonts. But what I really love about it is that they're all one piece. I don't mind doing the individual letters, but it can be a little nerve wracking. All right, now for the photo, I'm using my Mega Roll Picket Fence foam, and I have this in both black and white. And so depending on the paper and what colors I'm using, if I'm using a lot of black, then I will use the black roll. But I didn't want to use the black on this one because I had trimmed down the photo. I didn't want that to be sticking out and be a harsh contrast. So this time I felt like the white was better. All right. And then we're going to just tuck that in on the side. And since I liked it where I kind of was placing it, I'm like, let's just go ahead and get the glue and everything on. So then that way that's done. And we can go ahead and lay that down. And eventually I do get smart and move the roll. I'm like, that's kind of in the way. And then I'm going to tuck the birds kind of, well, the one bird is definitely tucked under the yellow. And then the other one, I wind up putting a little bit of foam underneath. So it's not going to have its feet tucked, but it is still going to align. Sort of like letting the pattern paper give it a place for the birds to perch. And then I'm just laying down a few things. I knew I wanted that lamp and the heart. And then I'm going to put some more hearts down. And then we're also going to use some foam hearts. Okay. So let's start putting this down. And anything that I know for sure, I'm just going to lay it flat. I go ahead and just kind of lay it down, go ahead and glue it down. And then I'm going to put the bird with a little bit of foam right behind it. And then a little bit of glue. And then that way, if I have to move it a little bit, we'll be good. And a little heart. And it's so funny. This was a random white heart in the mist. I'm like, why didn't they color this one? It's just one. We had yellows and like a orange, like a rust, and this one random white heart. I was like, okay, I'm gonna go ahead and use that. It almost looks like a splatter, and then it landed as a heart shape. It made me laugh anyway. All right, so we're gluing down that bird. I decided to make him flat, and this time we're going to pop up the flower instead. And I have foam squares that are already, pre-cut, and then sometimes if I have extra of the foam tape that I'm using, I'll use little pieces of that. It just depends. And since everything was pretty much done at this point, I'm going to go ahead, take the backing off, add my glue, and go ahead and put down our main photo. And see what that glue allowed me to do? I was able to pick it right back up and move it because I didn't have it right where I wanted. I'm telling you guys, the glue with the tape is a game changer when it comes to moving stuff. All right, so this one, I'm not going to have to do the whole entire piece, but I just wanted to trim it down a little bit to make sure it would fit behind the sentiment that we were putting up above, which is family is the greatest blessing. And then we're going to trim down the foam. And don't worry, if you're using scissors and they get a little sticky, you can use alcohol, you can use hand sanitizer if you have that. I've used stamping cleaner stuff to try and get my scissors clean. It works, and the scissors keep on cutting, so don't worry about it. Okay. Now on this one, by this other bird, we're going to use the more like burnt orange. Has that little more reddish tone to it. And then I have, let me see. I know, okay. There was a piece on the family is the greatest blessing that was missing some foam and it was drooping weird. So I just put a piece under that real quick and pressed down so that way it would stick. Now it's like, it ain't going nowhere. It's nice and strong. And if you ever needed to, you could always put like a stamping block on top to let it hold down while you do other stuff. I've done that too. All right. Now, up here in the top right, we're going to put the lantern, and I'm going to put I have a heart and a flower, which we're going to wind up popping up. And then we're going to decide to do, I don't know if you remember me using that wreath. It's kind of over to the left and hidden underneath those foam squares. But we're going to pull that back out too and use it in a different way. So let's see. I'm just taking the backings off. And we're going to go ahead and dab a little glue. And then put down the heart. And then we're going to put a little foam tape behind the flower and place it as well. Just a little piece. And don't worry, if you forget to use the glue on that, it's fine. I just find like sometimes certain foams, once it goes down, you're not going to be able to move it again. Like you can't just, oh, I changed my mind type thing. So the wet glue just gives you that little bit of time to where, you can kind of work it out. So I decided I'm going to put part of that wreath down here on the bottom. At first, I was going to do both pieces, and I was like, oh, that would be cute. And then I thought, well, no. You remember those like candles or lamps where they have like a wreath built around it? I was like, that's what I'm going to do. That's very outdoorsy country. So it'll work out. So I'm going to take the other half and place it a little bit more center underneath the photo. And then I'm going to wind up using a piece of foam. When I grab the sentiment, we'll put some elements down. So I put a little piece of foam right in the center of that. And that ties in the hearts that we're also going to grab from it and put down as well. So sometimes your layouts can be very extravagant. Sometimes it can be a little bit more simple. Um, Now with these, okay, so the trick with these foams is not to press down, okay? As long as you don't press down, it'll stay. And you can just pick them up real quick and then put them down exactly where you want. I was going to put them down towards the bottom, and then I was like, you know what? Nope, I like it up at the top. So I added my glue, and then I made sure it was straight when I laid down gather and then together. And then the benefit of the wet glue with the stickers, you just know that you get better adhesion too. It's definitely not going to move anywhere. So we're going to grab some of the hearts. Sorry about that change in the camera. I wound up having to zoom in, and I apologize. I think I stretched it too far. I'll try and fix that. Okay. So then, once we got the hearts on, oh, I know what happened. I started this with no nails, and then I went and got my nails done. And I finished it with nails. And so the camera did change a little bit. So you can still see the project for the most part. And I'm not doing a whole lot different. Just adding a few of those foam elements. And then we're going to splatter. And that's it. And that is the layout. I really do love how this one came together. There's something about fall. Fall's always been one of my favorite seasons. I think those colors speak to me a lot. So this challenge for me was a lot of fun. And I could do another one. You know what I mean? But we only need one per challenge. So once you do that one, you're entered into the running for the gift certificate. And, we just all get to share our projects. These are so fun. And we're getting to use product, and we're getting to use, our supplies and stuff. And it helps take you outside of your box. So that's what I like most about these challenges. And this year, I always say you can always go back, even if after, the date has passed, you could still use some of these challenges to help you get projects done, even if you don't get them all done by the 26th. Okay. So just keep that in mind. And I hope you guys enjoyed the video. My thing is splatters. It's not done until I get to hit those splatters on my project. And I promise you, like, sometimes it's just that little something at the end that just finishes it off. And you can just use one color. You could use just gold. You could just, however you want to do it. I always use three because I just like that it gives it a little bit of depth. So I always like to use black and white, and then I usually add another color as an element. But for this project, I use gold, which goes well with that yellow strip. And then I'm just going to hold it up, and then there you go. Finished layout. I love it. And then I just moved it to the side to keep the kids covered, just in case. All right, you guys. Thank you so much for joining me. Please consider hitting the like, subscribe, and share button. And you can leave comments down below. I would definitely appreciate it. And if you're not already, go ahead and join us at My Little Scrapbook Store Layouts and More page on Facebook, which will lead you to our free crop page. And you can join in on the fun. You play these challenges, do these challenges. Step outside of your comfort zone and try something new. And it's free. Who doesn't like free? Okay? So thank you guys so much, and I will see you with our next video.